Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sit Down and Shut Up. Today we have, is it ezous? Let's see. Make sure I'm saying that right. You guys doing well today? Yeah, ezous? All right, well, let's bring him on. Hey, ezous, can you hear me?
Hello?
Am I saying that right? Is it ezous? Ezous?
Ezos.
Ezous?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
let anybody say it any type of way though.
All
Uh,
right, gotcha. Gotcha.
I don't know if you want to, if I can leave and you can invite my other account, because this is the account on my phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me, so it's the alternate
Yeah.
you sent, right? Suzis?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, one sec. Let me get that on there.
Then I can just
Bear with me
leave.
here. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
All right, you should see it now.
Okay. 1 second. Yeah, I see it.
Cool.
Okay. Let me just leave this one. Hello?
Hey, all set?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Welcome on. I don't think we've had the opportunity to play yet, so I'll just ask, what's your what character are you playing? What rank or MR are you at right now, and what issues do you think you're running into?
Okay. I play Akuma.
Okay.
Uh, I'm like 1405 right now.
Okay.
Um, I think I run into a couple of issues. Optimization.
Okay.
There's a couple of problems that I know that I
Sure.
have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Optimization. What else? What else? What else? My corner pressure is not as strong as I like. Oki
Mm-hmm.
and corner pressure is not as strong as I think it should be.
Okay.
Sometimes anti-air and then like arbitrary spacing.
Okay. Okay.
And it's funny because I asked for some like tips and asked for some helps and had some like people like review some of my. Hold up 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
1 second, I gotta turn this dishwasher on.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. All right. Yo, Corva, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. We'll get more games soon. Aw. And that warms my heart. Love you too, buddy. Hey, we're just joining. We're just waiting for Easiest to get back so we can get started. I think they're coming back right now.
Okay, I'm back.
All right, cool, cool, cool.
Yeah,
Okay. So I think I get the idea. So you're playing Akuma right now, 1400-ish, running into problems maybe with like spacing or maybe like your corner pressure isn't as tight, right? Those are the things I heard.
yeah.
And some other, we can take a look for sure.
Another
What?
thing
Yeah.
I wanted to say
Mm-hmm.
is, oh, I posted my like my gameplay in my reviews and I
Okay.
listened to it and I got to like 1555
Okay.
and then I went all the way
All the
back
way back
down.
down. Yeah,
And
it's
so,
it's tough
yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
I don't know what happened around that time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I was just taking in so much information, and then I was being inconsistent on the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But the replays,
it can be kind of
yeah,
tough, like because at 1500, that's the entry point for master, right? So the actual like range of skill, if you will, from like 1450 to 1550 is very wide, right? You can get into master, you can play someone that's at like 1550, and then your next game it says 1500, but they're like a fresh master that just got a diamond, right? And then it's like, they have the same, close to the same MR, but it was a totally different game, right? So no big deal. I think like it's pretty common for people to kind of fluctuate in their MR ranges. I think like If you talk to folks like on the Fire Rise Discord and all that, everyone's kind of gone through it. But I think like a reasonable range for you to kind of hover in is somewhere in like the plus minus 50, right? So something like that is like, reasonable in my mind. So if I was like playing a ranked session, I'm at 1600 right now, I'll go up to 1700, which I haven't, but if I say I did, and then it went back down to like 1650 or something, I think that's reasonable, right? Like it's within kind of how the game goes, right? Like as you get more consistent, that range gets smaller and smaller, but that's just how it goes. So cool. What is your CFN so I can invite you to the custom room here?
Indigo.
Indigo? All right.
And it's Akuma. Yep. I went on a little winning streak
Okay.
today.
Well, there you go, right? Ready to go.
I finally understood why I wasn't opening up this person
Mm-hmm.
and what I was not doing, and then I started doing it.
Yeah, it's crazy how sometimes that just clicks, right? So I don't know if you've seen previous streams or anything like that, but basically what we're gonna do is we'll run a first to three, kind of get a sense of like what you may be running into, or see if the issues that you're talking about are the ones that we want to talk about. So we'll go through that, and then after that we'll do a little replay review. So we'll take a look at one of the games that we played, and we'll take a look at one of the games of the replays that you sent me, right? So we'll do a little replay review of those. Usually I take a look at your ranked games because like how I might be playing you is probably going to be different than how people at your current, like when you hop into ranked, is going to be playing you. So it helps to take a look at both perspectives. After that, we'll take a look at if there's anything in particular we want to look at, like in depth. We can hop into the lab to do a little lab work. And then if there's time after, I know you might not be West Coast like I am, so if there's a little time after, we can run it back, run another set, and then and see if anything that we talk about help. Sound reasonable?
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm gonna queue up on the slot you're in. So I'm gonna deafen in Discord, mostly because I don't want to impact anything you're doing. I tend to talk a lot during this, so as I kind of articulate what I'm seeing in the game and all that. I also may not rematch right away, so the timer may run down to like 2 or 3 or 1 or 2. Don't worry, I'm still here. It's just I have to kind of articulate what I'm seeing, right? So that said, good luck. So I haven't actually played this person before, so we'll see. I think they might be new to the Discord. All right, cool. I probably should have checked to make sure that my controller was correct. I was using my I was playing Modern earlier. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay. Okay, went for that. That's nice. Okay. So I think the main thing is I think they do feel, it looks like they're a little uncomfortable and neutral if I'm not kind of doing stuff, right? Oh. Like you can see they're kind of walking forward in my crouch medium kick range. Oh. Oh, that's nice. Maybe you didn't need to burn out for that though. Oh my. Oh, nice. Oh, that was nice. Okay. So clearly they know how to play the game, right? I probably missed my crouching medium kick drive rush there, but. Okay, I'm checking now. Nice. Oh, no check. Oh. I can't DP. So this is actually kind of tough. They're burned out, but they have level 3. So it's kind of a gamble here if I drive rush in or not. Let's try it. So that's really crappy, honestly. Like that can do that in Jinrai when you're burned out. So I think they play really well. I don't think there's anything like egregious necessarily. I think the main issue right now is that their spacing may be a little bit off, and they do kind of have a reliance on uh, Demon Flip. Right, so I think they're gonna DP here. I didn't break in time. Okay. Yeah, they tend to walk forward a little bit, like when I'm in range of that, which is kind of not great. Okay. So yeah, it's really just right now. I'm beating them with a little bit of the spacing game, right? So I'm able to kind of get around their demon flips and stuff, and I'm kind of counter poking them, right? Oh no, DP. Right, and I think where I'm getting them a lot too is this delay jab, right? You notice me getting a counter hit jab a lot. My guess is that they're going for some sort of jab into throw option. Oh shit, nice. That's getting blown up, right? Like they're doing something and trying to walk up throw, and that's what's getting blown up. Oh, okay. Delay crouching medium kick. Do they throw again? Let's see. Oh, they do. Pretty good, pretty good. I like it. No fear. I dig it. See, they're talking about the anti-air stuff. Let's see how they deal with this pressure here. Okay. Oh, shit. That's supposed to be a DP into level 3, but that works. So what happened there was I was kind of mashing through that string. Because if they do go into that EX hands, it may work out for me there. So I'm just kind of mashing in that situation. So again, I think like where it's close, but where I think I'm edging out a little bit of advantage is in the neutral game, right? So being able to get more knockdowns, because when they knock me down and they corner me, they've been able to kind of keep me pressured in, right? Okay, they're teching a lot now, right? No DP. Yeah, I see that right there, that delay jab that's coming in. It seems to be catching them on whatever it is they're doing. Right, and then delay texture. So I've thrown them enough to where they started delay teching, right? And you can see what happens when, when that occurs, right? So, oh, there it is right there. So they're going into like some sort of option into like a walk up. Okay. Okay, so I think I have an idea what's going on. I think it's mostly the neutral game spacing parts, so let's bring it back on and talk about it. Hey man, what do you think?
Uh, GG's first.
Yeah.
Um, I was hesitant.
A little
Uh,
bit, yeah. Maybe it's nerves or whatever, but sure.
I was, I know I was hesitant in pressing buttons, and then there's something that I'm not understanding. You
Mm-hmm.
checked me a lot,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
from doing like you didn't respect me, but I didn't make you respect me because I kept on going into like a frame chat, but I never like finished that out, so I'm not doing safe shit. I think my
Yeah.
button, I think my button presses, and this is the big issue where I see you like way better than me. You're more patient in like whiff punishing and knowing like what
Right.
button to rotate, and I
Uh-huh.
don't really understand that part of the game when it
Gotcha.
comes
Gotcha.
to me as a Kuma and what I'm supposed to do. So you
Mm-hmm.
see me throwing out some light kicks sometimes, trying to like fool you so I can like kind of get what I want.
Right, right.
But so That's what I think.
Gotcha. So yeah, that was kind of what was happening. So a very common defensive option. So first, before I get into it, I'm sharing my screen in Discord, so you should
Oh
be able
yeah,
to
let
see the
me.
replay, so that we
Yeah.
can talk about it in real time or whatever.
Yeah.
So while you're getting that up, what was happening in those scenarios that you noticed, right, was that I
Hmm.
was doing a delayed jab, right? So what was happening
Okay.
was if you went into let me know if you can see the screen, by the way.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll talk about when we see it. But basically, what I was doing was a delay jab, right? So what that means is I delay my four frame by anywhere between 5 to 7 frames. Sometimes I was mashing it, to be honest, but I try to time a jab so that if you do something like you were saying, where it's kind of a greedier thing on your plus frames, or it's not real, like it's a kind of a fake thing. If you try to frame trap me with a light string, my jab won't come out and I'll block it. But if you try to do like a walk up throw, or like you try to do some other bigger button behind it, then my jab will hit you, right? So what was happening to you was that during your kind of pressure strings mid screen, you would go for something that I was able to jab out of. I would get a counter hit jab, right? And then that leads
Hmm.
for Ken anyway. Crouch medium punch, and then I would Jin rank and kick you back, right? Or I could drivers cancel or something like that, right? So that's what was happening. We'll see if it shows up in here. But what I did notice was, I think, like you were saying, it's a little bit of hesitancy in the neutral game here. You kind of didn't feel super comfortable if I wasn't throwing myself at you, right? So, like, I'm sure if you play at the rank you're at right now, if you play Kens at 1400, they are drive rushing you, they are fireballing, jumping, dragon lashing, right, DIing. Like, they're doing all kinds of stuff to throw themselves at you, right? So, as an Akuma player, all you really need to do is to just wait for me to do something that you can react to and then beat me, right? Or you can demon flip at me, and if I can't deal with that, then it's like I don't need to play neutral anymore, right? I'll just demon flip, chop
Yeah.
down. I have plus
You started
frames, right?
adapting though, some.
Yeah, I started being able to DP eventually, right? So part of that's just me, like, kind of getting into the game, whatever, maybe warming up, whatever you want to call it. But that's what I noticed, right? Was that you weren't quite, you didn't feel comfortable in like the grounded, neutral, like footsies aspect of the game, right? I felt like everywhere else you felt fine though, like,
I
um,
say
yeah,
I'll say two things. I didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah, go ahead.
One, I just came back, so this is like my first game back. But the another thing is I don't think I'm comfortable in confirming lights.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
when you said that, I have a bad habit of doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, and I guess it's because I'm so bad at confirming lights that I
Mm-hmm.
don't even. It's just like it just came in my mind that like that's probably why I do that, and now it's a habit of me going into like a fucking medium punch.
Gotcha. Because the medium punch is easier to confirm, right? So once you hit that, when
Yeah,
you see that, you can drive rush after it or whatever, but you don't have to like it's easy. It's almost easier to single hit confirm because you know the confirm is coming, right? So it's like, oh, I know
yeah,
the counter hit's gonna be here or not, so then don't have to. It's easier on my mental stack. Whereas with the light, like I could get hit at any point during that light string, and then you have to kind of react to it, right? And may not be sure. So
yeah.
yeah, that I mean, I did notice that you didn't go into like those tighter frame traps, and maybe that's why the delay jab was working, right? But right here it worked well. So you did this, right? You have plus
Mhm.
frames, and I actually tried to delay jab you here. So you can see this is why I get the counter here. Right? So I tried to press my button here, right? You can see I did a jab here. So if you had done something tighter, meaning like an actual like four frame here or something like that, or something where it would beat a four frame,
Yeah.
I would have blocked this, right? But instead you went for a 6 frame here, right? Which is kind of a quote unquote greedier button. Not that greedy is bad necessarily. I'm just saying that that's the term for it. Like you try to take a bigger advantage here, and it blows up my defensive option here, right? So this is actually pretty good to do this. Now whether or not you recognize that, I'm not sure, but the way this worked out is that's why you got the counter hit here, right? I wasn't like, because if I had mashed against this instead, because you go for a bigger button here, and I decide to mash my 4 frame, it actually beats you, right? We end up trading. So then it kind of stops your pressure, right? So just keep that in mind. If you see like while you're playing, you do that drive rush, you have plus frames, and then you get a counter hit off of like a bigger button. It could be
Mhm.
that they're either doing this kind of delay jab option, or they're trying to press a bigger button behind it for some reason, right? So just keep that in mind when you're playing. It can be tough though to keep track of everything, so we'll keep going.
Yeah. Can't you just EXDP me too?
I could, right? So from
Yeah.
right here,
Yeah, that's another option.
yeah, I
Yep,
could
right
I
there.
could OS a DP, right? So it's a little bit tough though because
That shit is hard.
yeah. It's a little bit less risky because it's risky here, right? So if I do the DP here and you just do nothing, I'm gonna I'm gonna eat a fat punish, right? So it's kind of risky on like a raw drive rush to do this. But on like a drive rush cancel, so say you do like a low forward into drive rush, that's a little bit more safe for the DPOS, right? So in that scenario, if there is a gap, then the DP won't. If there is a gap, the DP will come out. But if there's no gap, then the DP won't come out. And if you decide to do nothing, like, I'm still going to be safe, right? So the ideal situation is I check you. So I crouch and medium punch you right here and stop your drive rush, which I don't, right? So. All right, so right there, right? So I think this is probably something
autopilot.
Yeah, I was just about to say. I bet you this works like 9 times out of 10 in your current games, right? You do this hit, you're like, oh man, I just got hit. They're not ready for this DP, right? So, I would say. So what I'm gonna say is that if it's working for you, continue doing it, right? There's absolutely no reason to stop doing something if it's working in game, right? Like you're in a tournament set or in ranked or whatever, and this is working. Like your opponent can't deal with it. Keep doing it. There's no reason not to, right? But if they can deal with it, like I was able to DP you here, then you may need to consider something else, right? Maybe like after this
finishing a combo.
Yeah, confirm into like I think it's medium hands, right? Or whatever.
Medium.
Yeah. Or a drive rush here, right? You can drive rush cancel into another.
Get more corner carry.
Yeah, extend it, right? Do the well, I think the corner carry combo changed a little bit, but whatever that is now, right? You would do that. So.
Yeah, all you got to do is forward heavy and then crouching heavy until heavy Tatsu, and then you're basically in the corner.
Yeah. Because I think they changed the light Tatsu sweep Oki, right? It's no longer 42. But anyway, so what happens here, right? So you get DP'd, and then I take my Oki now, right? So you get knocked down. I use my meter because I have a ton of it, right? And then instead of doing a button here, I just go for a throw. So you've committed here to taking the throw, and I think that's totally fine. There's no reason like for that to be an issue for you. Playing a meter mid-screen, not a big deal, right? So I don't mind that defensive decision at all. Okay, so this was good. All right, I had gone for a drive rush twice here, so reversaling here is probably fine. I actually said on stream, I think you're gonna DP me here, but my jab didn't come out in time. So if you look right here, I think I was too close. So I tried to bait you with this, and you can actually see my jab here try to stop my momentum, but I think with the nerf to this, Ken's too close now. So I don't recover in time and get DP'd, right? So anyway. All right, so here, I thought that, so the reason this DP came out was I thought that you were a little too far for a drive rush button, right? And it ended up working out. So I'm not sure if that is like true or not necessarily, because if you look at,
I don't think my Oki is true after
after the EXDP, right? So
that's a bad habit I do because I get it off of like a regular DP.
But the EXDP can't, like, the recovery is too much now, right? So
yeah.
Anyway, I just went for it. You can see, like, you went for the forward heavy punch here, and it actually is a little bit too much, right? So I went for, or sorry, what did you press here? Oh, you just pressed medium punch, right? So drive rush medium punch. So anyway, that works out that way, right? Okay. So here's an interesting situation, right? Now nothing quite happens to you, so let's let this play out for a second. Okay. So after this, right? So after this happens, right, you're actually +7, but it's hard to press here because Ken will frame trap you, right? So most people just tend to block, or they fuzzy guard here, or they do like a delayed jab, which you did pretty well, right? So right here, right, we're both neutral now. So like both of us can press, there's no advantage anymore. And if you look at the difference in what I do versus what you do, right? So what I do is I stand here. Well, actually, I go for a throw and a whiff it. But what you do is you move. Right, so the only reason I'm bringing this up is because you'll see me take advantage of this later. So I notice that in situations like that, you have a tendency to move in some direction, right? So you did that a couple of times in the first game, and in the third game, I think I tagged you with it as well. So like we were too close to each other, right? Like within light button range, and then you felt like you needed to back up, right? For whatever reason, or you felt like you needed to move. In this case, you back up a little bit, right? And then you press eventually. But what I took note of was that you moved in that situation, right? So just keep that in mind as we go through the replay. All right, so you asked about rotation of buttons for Akuma, right? So I think you actually did a good job here, pressing that forward medium kick, right? So, right. So this spacing is probably fine for crouch and medium punch, right? I think this is appropriate. The pushback's going to put me away. I can't really do anything to you here. And then this spacing is also appropriate for the forward medium kick, right? So both of these buttons were pressed at more or less an appropriate time, right? When you think about like button rotation and how that works, Usually what it ends up being is making sure that you're pressing an appropriate button at an appropriate spacing, right? So, obviously the closer you are, the faster your button should be, because you're up close, right? Like if you think about long range buttons, like your heavies, they have a lot of startup, but they have a lot of range, right? So you press them when you're further away. But if you're close, right, the range advantage of those buttons is negated, right? Because you're standing too close. So those buttons would get stuffed by the faster buttons that have less range, right? Because like the lighter buttons no longer have the disadvantage of being out of range, right? So in this scenario here, you actually did pretty well. So you actually did a crouching medium punch in an appropriate range, and you did a forward medium kick in an appropriate range, right? So I think this was actually pretty good. And we'll talk more about like how to adjust like neutral when the situation comes up. But I just wanted to point out that you did really well in that scenario right there. Right.
I should have been whiff punished. Could I whiff punish that? Probably not.
The stand heavy kick, yeah, I whiffed it, unfortunately, right? Unfortunately for me anyway. Yeah, so you tag me here, right?
I definitely should have like whiffed the. Yeah, I wasn't reacting.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ending lag here, and it's kind of like if you think about what a reasonable reaction time is, right? Usually it's somewhere between like the 17, 18 frames. So from right here, if you're expecting it, right, I press the button, you start to react to the motion of this. There's 12 frames, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So like right here is probably about when like a normal human being would recognize that this button was pressed. Like, oh, they just pressed a button and whiffed it. So then you have to react to that. But if you look at the spacing, it's like, well, what button can I press that might reach, right?
Forward heavy punch.
Yes, forward heavy punch probably work here, right? Because there's a ton of recovery on this move. Or like a crouching medium punch would probably work as well, because the Ken's hurt box is actually extended a little bit here. So from right here, right, you might be able. So your forward heavy punch would probably work, right? Oh, that's the wrong player. Forward heavy punch, right? That would work. Maybe crouching medium kick. Nope. Crouching medium punch.
No.
Nope. Right. So like that range made it a little bit tough to be like, oh, what options am I, what options can I use, right? Because for most folks, like they'll be using some sort of medium button to whiff punish because it's typically faster, right? Now the stand heavy kick here is a big button, big recovery on it. So, if you were ready, you probably could have gotten the forward heavy punch into some sort of conversion, right? Because the forward heavy punch and punish counter gets like, you're able to do more stuff. But yeah, like you could have whiff punished there, but you have to be ready for it, right? So we'll talk more about like what that looks like as we go through. But let's continue on the replay here. So you whiff that, I whiffed that, unfortunately, and then we're standing too close again. Right, so again, my gut here is telling me that you're gonna try to move, and you do, right? You try to go for like a jab or something, and I just check you with a crouching medium kick, right? So basically, what that means is that like in neutral, excuse me, you have a tendency to move in that scenario, right? And it may be something that you haven't noticed because you've been able to get away with it for forever long, right? It's not being punished right now, so it's like, oh, when I'm standing too close to my opponent, they don't seem to like it either, so we both back up, or we both kind of respect each other's space, go back to like neutral and play that. But I don't do that, right? I just press my button and try to tag you as you move, right? So
I guess I know why I do that, and I'm glad you brought it up, because I probably need to stop doing it. But around that range, in like the MR level I play, niggas tend to just cross me up.
Oh, they jump. They'll jump at you.
Yeah. So I back up to give myself a chance to not get crossed up, because some things look very ambiguous, and I hate giving people like free pressure.
Yeah.
Of, like jumping in on me, and I just like I have a real big problem with that. Of just like people like getting in that close and just
then jumping at you.
Yeah.
And it's because it's super effective, right? Like you just talked about it, where it's like whoever you're playing just does it for free, and it's like, oh man, I can't deal with that, right? So I don't want to put myself in a position where I have to, so I move. And if you think about the situation again, right? If I had jumped instead and you moved back, that does give you a chance to DP, right? Like maybe it puts you in a position where you can try to anti-air me, even with like what Akuma's back heavy kick, right? Or the crouching heavy punch when he puts his fist up. Like you may be able to do an anti-air normal there as well, right? An alternative to that could be to crosscut DP, right? So there might be something you can look into for anti-airing. Don't worry about it now, obviously, but
that's what I was trying to do. But sometimes
Mhm.
it's ambiguous. Like,
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're not quite
yeah, and
sure.
so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and this has happened to me a couple times where I was like, man, I wish
Yeah.
they just had an option select. If I
Yeah.
could just do the DP motion for crosscut and it would come out for a regular DP, that would be great.
Yeah, yeah. So technically, there actually is an option for that. So you have to do a very, very, very late inputted DP, meaning like they're basically on top of you when the DP comes out. So if you do that late enough, when you do
Hmm.
the input correct, like for facing the right direction, if you do the input and then they cross over you after the input's there, the DP will automatically correct to the correct side. So it'll self-correct to the other side. So if you have
Oh,
to do it super late though, I mean it's like you risk it, it feels like you risk getting hit because your DP may not come out. But again, if you do
okay.
it late enough, it'll auto correct in that scenario. So if they do cross you up, your DP will go the other way, and if they don't, it'll stay forward, right? Typically,
Okay.
what I do though is in that kind of quote unquote ambiguous situation, I just go for a regular DP, right? So if I get crossed up, so be it. But like for Ken and I think Akuma too to some extent, like the DP hurtbox or hitbox rather is good enough where like they have to really cross you over and you have to be really early on the DP for that to whiff. Like 9 times out of 10, if it's ambiguous and I go for the DP, it'll hit them, right? So and I just kind of live with that, right? It's easier for me anyway, mental stack wise, to deal with that versus being like, all right, I have to be ready for both things or I have to do something else, right? So something to consider.
Okay.
So that said, here's where I think you struggled the most in our set here, right? So after this happens, all right, so now you're in this kind of precarious situation, right? I'm not really giving you a whole lot of room to breathe here, and I'm not really going in either, right? So it feels like even though I'm not doing anything, it probably felt like you were about to lose the game from here, right? Like I can't do anything here. Every time I push a button, it gets whiff punished or whatever, right? You're getting hit, can't jump. So let's see how you deal with this. Right, so you just jump out. So this was good, right? I think it was game 3 maybe there. Maybe confusing it, but the jump out was good, right? So right here, right? I don't DP you, unfortunately. I think I went for it. Let's see. Oh, I didn't even go for it. Never mind. So I had to deal with that. So that was good. Good jump out, right? Good meaty. Ah. Does that account? Was that a combo? Let's see. Oh, it was a trade combo. That's unfortunate. Okay. So that's unfortunate for you, I think, there, was that was close enough, and I was close enough for that to reach. But if you take a look at what was happening here,
I missed that.
I missed the conversion here, and then I basically walk up and challenge you with my stand heavy punch, right? Like I walk into a range where this is gonna hit you, and just press it, right? And now this button for Ken is privileged as fuck, right? Like I can press this button a million times and it feels like you can't do anything about it, right? Like it's -2, but it doesn't feel like it's -2. It's a 10 frame startup, but it feels like it comes out so fast, right? So what's actually happening here is every time I press that button, it's a little bit of a mix-up for you, right? Because you don't know if I'm going to be able to space trap you or try to do something else to mix up whatever I'm doing next, right? So every time I press that button, not only does it attack your gauge, but it forces a little bit of a mix-up if I space it correctly, right? Because if you press this, like you can see here, I think you whiff, right? Oh no, this hits. So this is a little too close for me, right? But there are situations where if I space this correctly, like at the tip, that stand medium or stand light kick from you will whiff potentially, right? So like here, like that would whiff, and then I could just press another button here and hit you with the stand heavy punch again, right? So it's a little tough to deal with, honestly. I think like the best way I've seen people deal with it is like this, by trying to take your turn back with a 4 or 5 frame button kind of aggressively if I misspace it. But if it's spaced well, it's tough because I could space trap you, right? So, and then unfortunately here, what actually happened was I misinputted my my stand heavy punch in the Jin right here. Like I didn't get the crouching medium kick, right? So, or sorry, crouching medium kick in the Jin right. I didn't get the crouching medium kick, and this just comes out instead. And then you get trade comboed here, right? So if I were to take anything away from like this game, I think where it ended up kind of falling, I don't want to say falling apart, but where it kind of snowballed was after this interaction here. Right, this kind of puts you on the back foot for most of the round, right? So you had to deal with this. You XDP me here. And then you get checked, right? And then it's kind of, now you're stuck in the corner here, right? Right, and And then from there, you kind of I try to keep in the corners as best I can. You're able to jump out, but then Akuma kind of has the lower health, right? So like you take one more kind of stray hit right there, and then after this is the trade combo, and then I just cash out to kill you, right? So was there anything egregious in that? Not really, right? I just kind of took advantage of one or two situations that had, I don't want to say made a mistake, but it was a tendency you had, right? And I kind of exploited that. Remember, this is also game 2, right? So I kind of had an idea of how you like to play the game at that point. So yeah. Talking about neutral, like the neutral buttons and stuff, right? So let me ask this right now. So when you're playing as Akuma right now, what are the primary buttons you tend to press in neutral? Looks like right now it's like stand light kick and forward medium kick, as well as like demon flip, right? Is that kind of what you do most of the time, or what else do you do?
You said forward medium kick?
Yeah, the toe kick thing, right? So when you're
that.
Yeah, when you're neutral right now, what buttons do you feel like you tend to press more often or not, or less often?
Probably medium punch and heavy punch.
Okay.
I try not to do the medium kick because they DI like crazy.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And that is very scary. So I try to do very low committal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I do fireball a lot because I feel like Akuma is very stubby, and I do crouch and medium kick. But what I'm tending to figure out is I get into a very close range and I press medium kick, and it's like 8 frames, and I shouldn't be pressing that button because it's too slow and I get counter hit.
Yeah. So typically, and you see me, and it's funny because like you see me, and Ken's is 7 frames, it's a little bit faster, but you see me press crouch and medium kick a lot, right? And a lot of times it's actually in response to an opponent that moves. So like the actual speed of the move for the crouch and medium kick anyway, in particular, because it's the driver's behind it, it matters a little bit less as long as you're spacing it well enough, right? Because even if you misspace it and you land it on block and drive rush, if you have meter, right, you get a mix up anyway, right? So it's not like the end of the world if you misspace the crouch medium kick, at least the way this game is, right? So, but yeah, I think you're kind of correct in that you probably should be pressing slightly faster buttons if you're up close, right? So crouch and medium punch is a good one. I think like stand light kick is also a good one, right? His 5 frame is pretty privileged. And also, and this again, I think it's an adjustment you made to your current MR where you can't quite use the forward medium kick because you get DI'd a lot, right? So if your opponent is not doing that, then you can definitely use that to try to poke and get, try to, take up space, right? So like that's your kind of goal with that, right? Control the space in front of you. So
I also try to poke with the fireball when I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, so Akuma Fireball is really good, right? Like it's a really good zoning tool. Air Fireball is really good, but from right here is a little tough because I was in DP range, right? So like from right here.
Nah, hold on. This is some. I'm sorry, that is some bullshit. It already started. Like I get it was a nerf, but like yeah.
Yeah. So if you look right.
The fireball's already there, man. That's nasty.
Yeah. And it's like since this hits you, it dissipates the fireball, right? So I think it has to do with the actual hitbox, though, right? So they raised the hitbox of the fireball here, and then they lowered the hitbox of the air fireball, right? And it dissipates on hit. So if I DP you here, then the fireball just goes away, right?
That's egregious.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Well, the difference though is that I have to be ready for that, right? So I actually whiff a button here. And then input a DP right after, right? So it's like I have to be ready for you to do that in order to get this. So I'm willing to bet 9 times out of 10 you do this, and the person just blocks, right? They block the EX Fireball here, and you just get free pressure, right? So
that's something I rarely do, the EX Fireball, though.
Oh, really?
Because I know, but I think it's a nice mix instead of like you have to fully commit to the jump with the air Fireball, but that just you get it's like an
instant, yeah. Well, minimum speed, right? Okay, a minimum height or whatever it is. Okay, so right here is an interesting one, right? Let's take a look at the situation.
I try to
try to do the stand heavy kick, right? And let's take a look at this the event that led up to this, right? And this I think will kind of highlight some of the neutral aspects that I think you may be struggling with, right? So if we look at the space here, right? Right here, right? This is when we both decide to press our button, more or less, right? So I decide to press a faster medium button, right? So I don't think any lights from Ken will reach. Maybe stand light kick would reach here if you decide to do something. But I throw out a faster kind of medium button here, right? And the reason I do it is because I noticed that not only do you kind of move when we're in this situation, if I walk into your space, you tend to press something, right? So it's a neutral tendency you have, maybe you notice it or not. But I walk into a space where you think you can press your stand heavy kick, right? Or any button in particular. So you actually press before I do, right? You can see here your move's already coming out. And I'm not actually reacting to this at all. What I'm trying to do is actually put a faster hitbox out so that it might stuff anything you're trying to do, right? So if you press a faster button here, maybe it ends up trading, maybe it ends up like not quite working out for you. But here, if you went for like a bigger button here, this is going to counterpoke you, right? And stuffs whatever you're doing. So what this means effectively is that you pressed a bigger button at a range that maybe didn't make sense, right? That's kind of the takeaway from that. So if you look right here, right? Maybe it made sense from right here to press it, but as soon as I walk up, right, now it's like too close for it, right? So it's a split-second decision, honestly. Like maybe if I don't move, this hits, right, from right here. If you had pressed this a little bit sooner, maybe the stand heavy kick will, you know, I'll be forced to block it, or I may crouch block it or whatever. But it might be tougher for me to stuff it with my button because it's from further away, right? So like your hitbox will be out already, potentially. And then if you're able to catch me walking forward or something, then yeah, I'm gonna get hit, right? But then once it gets too close here, like I try to walk up into your space and press this button. I just press a faster button than you do, and then that's why you get counter hit, right? So and the reason I kind of emphasize this is because like you had mentioned that you were kind of struggling in this aspect of the game. How do I rotate options? How do I maintain, you know, control in the neutral? And I think a lot of it ends up being, like I was saying, pressing the right speed button at the right space, right? Space dictates everything you can and can't do. And then, you know, the frame data dictates how fast something is, all right? So making sure that if you are at a space where it's too close, you press faster buttons, if that makes sense, right? And that's kind of what happened here. Right? So I get a counter hit here and a confirm, right? And then now you're knocked down again, right? So, all right, no DP for me there. So now I think you've adjusted to try to use the stand light kick to just poke me, right? Right? You're trying to not get counter hit again with a big button, right? So,
yeah, I think that pissed me off.
yeah, that's like, oh man, this just hit me. So what's tough about this though? Right, so you're kind of standing outside of the space, and I think it's actually fine, right? So like if you look, if I had tried to press something, maybe this hits me. So I think it's actually okay in terms of trying to control space. What makes it tough again though is that I see this and kind of adjust to not pressing the stand medium kick as much. I think I actually try to press something else. Let's see. Okay, so I fireball instead. Yep. So right there it worked, right? So I tried to press something preemptively, and you're able to stuff it, right? So yeah, use DP, and then good reversal here. And I didn't miss my counter hit there, and then you actually are able to stuff what I'm doing with your crouching medium punch here, right? So I think I die from that, or I'm pretty close to dead after that.
Wow.
Right, so you punish counter me here, right? I tried to kind of bait you, and you went for the button here. It worked. Right. Throw. And I actually said on stream, oh, I think they're going to... I wonder if they go for a throw again. I didn't think you were. I thought I was going to press a button to try to catch you walking back, and then you just went for it, right? So you can see I actually pressed my crouching medium kick here, and you catch me. So this is good. This was a good corner sequence from you. So what I will say is that I think that, and you're kind of correct in that some of the knockdowns you score, you may not have like airtight pressure afterwards, right? So some of like the knockdowns from like the chop, right? If it's punish counter, he knocks me down. Or some of the Oki that you got from like the combo you got. Some of the, you know, some of that pressure may not be 100% like I have to guess something. Right? I just kind of block it out most of the time, right? So anyway, you had mentioned it as something you struggle with as well. So I will say I did notice that too. So that's good. And then I noticed you weren't anti-airing, so I just kind of started jumping. So take the throw. Oh, so it looks like your tech was kind of late actually. So go for delay tech here. Let's see. So that's a meaty throw. Okay, yeah, that's a little too late for the delay tech. So you need to be delay teching. The tech should actually come out around here. So if you look at the frame meter here, that should come out like around 5 to 7 frames. So it's a little bit late for this this tech here. Assuming that's what you're going for, right? So. Okay. Yeah, so that was just a whiff punish, right? And then I kind of missed my confirm here, but it worked out because I think you pressed something. So, but yeah, this was just pure whiff punish, right? Like here, if we look, like what happened, why this happened, right? Right, so you kind of press a button that might be a little bit out of range, right? So it was close, and I think if I had continued walking forward, maybe this doesn't hit me. This tags me at some capacity. But yeah, the unfortunate thing here was that it looks like you actually pressed this. Oh, never mind. Take it back. So you press the heavy punch, and then you press the drive rush cancel behind it. This is your buffer.
Yeah, I was trying to kill you.
Yeah. This is the buffer, right? So this whiffs, unfortunately, right? Then I whiff punish from here, right? So that's just like spacing, right?
I think that's the problem that I have is like I'm thinking somebody's just gonna walk into it.
Yeah, because that happens probably a lot more than it should, right? Like someone's actually actively walking into your space, right? So what ends up happening here is that I kind of stand outside of that stand heavy punch range, right? So like I have a kind of an idea of that, like that longest range button from you, and I'm kind of standing outside of that range, right, as best I can anyway. And then once you press the button, right? And remember I said like what's reasonable for a human being to react in terms of like frames and all that. This is about 13, 17, 18, 19 frames, something like that. So like I can react to this, but the key to it is that I'm standing at a space where the button would whiff if you happen to do it. So if you did this button and I see the button coming out and recognize it as the heavy punch, and I recognize that it's going to whiff, then I can just press this and it'll whiff punish you, right? But the key, again, is the space I'm standing at. So it's not like some huge superhuman reaction time. Part of it's dictated by the space I'm standing at, and me walking in and out of that range induced you to press that button, right? So I walked close to you, and then you felt like you had to press the button, and then you pressed it and whiffed, right? So we talk more about the footsies aspect again, like I keep saying that, but we'll talk about that after we finish the replay review. So you just get whiff punish here. Unfortunately, I dropped the combo, but it worked out for me. I don't DP. I tried. I tried. It didn't come out, so it's unfortunate, but... Right, and then here was the drop, right? So I think I kind of just start pressing, like, mashing my jab at timings.
I don't understand how I dropped that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I thought I was going to get hit right here. So you must have missed... Oh, you missed it by a frame. Because there's my recovery right there, and then there's a 2 frame right there, so, or a 3 frame, something like that. That's unfortunate. So it's just, I think you can just clean that up. You know, that's just input thing. Might have been some of the delay or rollback on our ends because you're East Coast, right? I'm assuming. So
Central Time, yeah.
Okay. So there's a little bit of distance, obviously, right? So kind of have to live with that. But yeah, you can probably press sooner than you think to convert these. If it's that tight, though, you know, sometimes it can be tough. But anyway, I just start kind of mashing here because I'm gonna get hit anyway. So I'm just kind of pressing the button, and then I recognize the counter hit here. Right, and then I just super from there. Right? It's supposed to be a DP, and the DP didn't come out. But anyway. So yeah, I think like this game, if you were to try to like break down what was happening here, one was like the anti-airs here, like not anti-airing me there, kind of put you in the corner here, and then it was this whiff punish right here after this sequence, right? Like if I converted that properly, maybe it's a little different. Obviously, it worked out for me here, but then you were kind of stuck in the get out, right? But I think the lead might have been too much for me here, and then you dropped this combo. So. Anyway, that all said, I do think that like the things you had talked about might be where you are struggling though is like real Oki after your knockdowns when you score them. It's probably a big one. And then the neutral, like the rotation of neutral buttons or like being able to press at appropriate spacing, right? So we'll talk about this a little bit now. So when it comes to footsies, right, the way I kind of describe it, like the neutral game aspect, right? So footsies is generally a response to you and your opponent both being able to check each other's bullshit, right? So you can check all the neutral jumps, or sorry, neutral skips. You can anti-air jumps, right? You can check like demon flips, dragon lashes, all that stuff. Like you're able to stop them. So what ends up happening is you have to play that footsies game to try to open each other up, right? Because if you try to do the other stuff, like you do a raw driver, she gets checked. If I do a dragon lash, she gets checked, right? DI'd or whatever. Your jumps get anti-aired, right? So your only options now are to play that grounded game, right? So first off, you have to kind of establish with your opponent that you're able to stop them from doing all that stuff, right? Because what happens, right? If you're able to check someone's BS and they don't stop doing that BS, you're just gonna win, right? Like, oh, I just DP every jump in and I check every drive rush and they can't do anything. They keep doing that and they'll die, right? Like if they don't adjust that, they'll die. So that's the easy one, right? But if both players can check each other, right, then it becomes okay. Now we have to play that neutral game, right? We have to play that footsies game. So that all said, the way that footsies generally works, at least the way I try to describe it, is that it's all about controlling 2D space, right? So you want to establish that you own the space in front of you, where if your opponent walks into that space, they'll get hit. On the flip side, if you walk towards your opponent and put your opponent in that space, they'll also get hit, right? That's what you're trying to establish, right? So typically the way it works is that you're standing at both neutral, right? Round start, you're both standing in neutral. And then when you walk towards somebody or they walk towards you, it's going to elicit some kind of response, right? If I walk towards you, you may do something. You may down back and block. You may try to back up. You may try to walk forward and challenge with your own button. You may neutral jump forward. You may DI me, right? You could parry. You can, something will happen, right? Even if it's nothing, right? Even if it's just like, I'm going to continue standing here, there's some sort of response that occurs. So the idea is that you want to try to understand what your opponent's tendencies are when you get that response from them, right? So it's like if every time I walk forward, you decide to walk back, then I can go, okay, instead of walking forward and pressing the button at the tip of the range, I'm going to continue walking forward, assume you're going to walk back, and then tag you with a low as you continue walking back, because walk speeds forward are typically faster than your back walk speed, right? So I'll catch up to you, press my low forward, and tag you, right? Or maybe you decide to press a button every time, right? So I walk into your space, you press your crouching medium punch to keep me out. Okay, now I'm going to walk into that space, walk out of that space, try to induce you to whiff the button, and then whiff punish you, right? For example, right? So that's kind of what was happening in our game, and I think that's what happens, even if it's subconscious, it happens in most people's games at master level or higher, right? So like once you're in this kind of most people don't do a ton of like neutral. Most people, not everyone. There's always those ranked demons out there that will headbutt you all day and laugh all the way to the bank if they win, right? But most people will play some sort of grounded neutral for the most part. It's just that the decisions that they're making may not always be like optimal in a sense that the space they press the button at is not the one they should be pressing, right? So, or they whiff a lot, right? They press buttons a little too much. Maybe they press them in the wrong space, whatever, right? So that all said, I think like something you could work on from here if you wanted to take something actionable would be to work on that spacing aspect, right? And we can hop in the lab and I'll show you what I mean by that. But that could help when it comes to understanding what to do in neutral, right? So cool. So while I bring up the other replay, you have any questions, thoughts? What are you thinking? I know it's a lot. So
I don't know right now.
Okay. No worries.
I think I think I do need to like just start thinking with more intentionality with everything that I do.
Yeah, like have an intention behind the button, right? So when I press my
But-
button here,
yeah.
like be ready to confirm it, or what is the response I want out of this? Like best case scenario, it lands. What do I do from there, right? So
Oh, this dude one and done me.
okay.
And this was my first game on.
All right, let's grab a different one then.
Oh no, grab it,
yeah?
because
All
I
right.
gotta. Yeah.
All right.
I'm just saying, it pissed me off.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
Let's take a look. So let's see what happens here. So there's another.
I want to be able to like get on and beat dudes like this. Even if it's my first game, though.
Yeah.
I felt like I was figuring him out, and then he.
And then he left. Yeah, that happens, man. That's the ranked world. Okay. So for off the bat, a Ken or anyone that does a crouching medium kick into DI here, right? Like what is the basically, right? Like when you think about like the decision making. So another thing I'll add to the decision making piece, right? So whenever you decide to press a button and all that, like the intentionality behind it, you're kind of like, what's best case scenario, what's worst case scenario, right? So for this situation right here, for this Ken to make this decision, what is the best case scenario here, right? Best case scenario is that you decide to press something, right? You decide to mash something here, right? Like, how is this DI gonna hit you when like you're still in recovery, right? So if you mash something right here, right? Look at the gap here, right? So it's like, what could you possibly be mashing that would make this work, right? The only thing that you could mash in this situation here would be if you went for like an EXDP that may not break the armor, right? You may whiff, or you press some sort of non-cancelable poke from that scenario, right? Both of those things are pretty unlikely, right? And that's best case scenario, is that you make a bad decision, right, from him. The worst case scenario is that you decide you react to this DI, or you mash against it and you DI him back, right? So like you counter DI him here. Like, this is a huge risk for the Ken, right? So obviously it works out in the sense that he doesn't get hit, but like when you see something like this happen, in your head you should be thinking that the individual here doesn't really know or care about the risk reward, the things they're doing, right? Like maybe this Ken doesn't know that that's the way that is for them, or they don't care, right? They're just like, oh, I'm just gonna do this, and you know, whatever happens happens, right? Either way, you now have more information about your opponent that you can kind of take account for later, right? It's like, oh, the next time a situation like this kind of comes up, you could just block or do the non-risky thing and they'll hang themselves, right? So anyway, let's see how this works out though. Right, so another big risk here. You went for parry, totally fine, I think. If you weren't ready for the Dragon Lash, totally okay.
I kind of forgot how to stop Dragon Lash. That's why I be doing it.
Yeah, and the parry's fine, right? Ideally, I think like the easiest quote-unquote way is to like DI.
Jab?
Yeah, or you can jab it, right? So if you jab or DI here, like on reaction to the Dragon Lash, you'll beat him. So he does this, right? Right? Like this is like 27 frames, so you could react with a DI here. And if you DI into this, then it's gonna get him every time, right? So that's something you can consider, right?
How hard is it to DP that? Pretty hard?
It depends on your reaction, to be honest. So from here, right? So if we talk about like a raw DP from here, it's not too bad. Not quite sure what control scheme you are on. Are you on leverless or pad or?
I'm on. I got a lever.
Lever? Okay, stick. Yeah. I don't think it's like impossible. Right? It's not impossible if you're ready for it, but I do think that the easier option would be for you to DI from here, right? Right. So you see how that's punish counter, and that was like super late, right? I DI'd like 22 frames into the move, right? So that said, you said this was game one and they went and done to you, so maybe you weren't ready for the raw Dragon Lash neutral, but now you should be, right? It's like, oh, they went for that. Now I need to keep track of that potentially happening. I will say on a lever, I think you can probably DP it. I don't think it's impossible, but a jab might actually be a little bit easier for that spacing, right? So they're too close if you look, right? So
my jabs be getting caught sometimes.
Right, something like that. So you saw there, that's like pretty late, right? If you look. So low jab will get crushed, right? Right. So that's like almost at the end of the startup. That was like 26-ish frames, so almost half a second, right? So I think it's reasonable to jab. You can get a juggle combo if you're ready for it. DI is probably the easiest thing to do because it'll send the message that like me stopping your Dragon Lash wasn't random. Like I knew that was coming and I did that to you. Or DP would also kind of send that same message, right? Because that's part of it too, right? It's like, oh, maybe he got lucky and randomly jabbed me. Whereas if you DI them, it's like, oh, that was super intentional, right? So anyway, from there. So this is a +1 situation. So you go for delay tech here. Unfortunately, this gets jumped, right? That sucks.
I think I delay tech a lot.
Yeah, you have to be careful about selecting that defensive option. I think it's fine-ish if they're not going for a lot of shimmies. Like, but yeah, you may be better off just blocking initially against somebody you don't know, right? So
that's another thing that fucks me up is people that jumps like after that.
The neutral jump shimmy, yeah.
Yeah, like oh my god, I do not react to that.
It's tough because if you do a late enough tech, like in that situation there, you may not recover in time to anti-air, right? So if you did an earlier tech, like an instant tech, maybe you would recover in time. But you did a delay tech there, so it may not be. And it came down to the punish counter anyway, so you probably wouldn't have been able to get through that. So here is why they do the crouching medium kick DI, though. They just dash up and do it, right? So I think, like, what actually happened here was, like, you were trying to do something too, and they just kind of dashed up and did this, right? They were going to do this to you no matter what happened, right? They weren't confirming anything, just like, bang. Right, even so you can see it's not even a combo, right? Well, I mean, I guess it shouldn't be if it's gonna stun you, but like they don't care, right? They just went for it. So, all right, we go for that. So Oki situation again. Do you delay tech? Let's see. No, you just block. I think that's okay. I think it's reasonable. You had been shimmied twice already, right? So. You tried to tech there. Maybe it's a little late. Oh, that's what. Yeah, that's tough, right? So when you're getting blown up like that on your delay texts, like the first neutral jump should give you an indication that you may need to stop selecting that option, right? It's really tough though, because like if you look at the scenario, right? Right, so he had thrown you here. You took the throw, right? And then he does it again. Now you can't take a throw, right? You'll die if he throws you here, right? So it's reasonable to delay tech here, I think. That said, he probably knows you think that, so that's why he neutral jumps here, right? Potentially. So this is a tough situation. You do have to make a decision here, and I think delay teching is not an unreasonable one. You could have just taken the throw here too, because you know, he neutral jumps, you DP it. Or he backs off, potentially tries to shimmy you with like a back walk or something, and then you can wake up with you can try to do a delay low forward or something like that to catch him. But yeah, I don't fault getting hit by that here, right? Because again, you can't take a throw anymore, right? So you have to make a defensive decision. But I do think that back here, like this one was tough, and then this corner pressure was basically him kind of just pressing stuff, right? So eat a DI here.
Fucking maniac.
Yeah, yeah. But it worked though, right? Because you weren't ready. So now that you kind of saw that play style, right? Now you have to kind of change how you approach the game, right? So goes for a throw again, and then just shimmies you, right? So anyway, we go from there. So actually, I think here you had an opportunity to DP, right? So if you anti-air him here, you don't deal with this mix-up too, right? So it's something to consider as well. If Ken's or any other character does a jump in and like on block here, right? If they do a jump in, generally speaking, if you anti-air this, there's no more mix-up, right? Like if you DP this, he gets knocked back, you're neutral again. Tough to win still, right? Given the situation, but at least you don't have to deal with this, right? Now he's like super plus, you go for the delay tech and then get blown up for it, right? So anyway, let's take a look. Right, so raw DI and neutral again, right? So this is like the fourth, maybe third or fourth DI that this person has done in general, right? Which is kind of a lot. So if you're trying to adjust to this kind of playstyle, the main adjustment is to use those special cancelable moves. Like, you know, just don't use the forward medium kick, use crouch medium punch or stand medium punch or stand heavy punch or whatever to try to get them to DI into that, and that gives you time to counter DI, right? So you cancel. So I think a demon flip here is not a bad option if he didn't DI you there, right? So if he doesn't go for DI there, maybe it works out, but you end up on the other side, so it works, right? Yeah, so that situation here, yeah, you probably do need to lab and make sure that you have a real setup here, right?
That is the best Oki, I think.
There's like a manually timed,
yeah,
maybe
you gotta,
it's not 42 anymore, right? So
yeah, you gotta dash and then walk, and
yeah,
so
yeah, that's tough.
you either get jab, throw, or like they walk out of it and you can, you
like
know,
low forward or something, yeah. So
yeah.
that's tough. I think this was a nerf from this season, right? They changed how that Oki works, right?
Yeah.
This used to be a double dash +5 situation automatic, but now you have to manually time. So yeah, I would definitely spend a little more time in the lab. Like you can see here that they recover, right? They have a little bit of, like there's some neutral frames here, basically, right? So if they were aware of that, they could have tried to check your jab here or do something else, right? But you weren't able to kind of press your advantage, right? So it's an unfortunate change, but is what it is. that said, it does work out for you because they don't do anything, but then you do this, right? So are they going to punish you? Let's see. That's tough, dude. So
I
if you
think I
look,
did it too. I
yeah.
think I did it too late. I mean, I think I held it down because that's supposed to be safe.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's supposed to be safe.
So
So he just
if you don't do the charge here,
I have time to
you should have kind of time to counter DI.
yeah. Because he'll still be in block stun.
Oh, let's see. Maybe I'm not.
You got to do it before that.
Yeah, it's got to be like.
Yeah, before. Yeah, right there.
Yeah. So here, after the input goes through.
Yeah.
Right here, right? So that should be it. Yeah. So there was a gap, right? But what that means, though, is that they were mashing DI through the gap, right? So they mash DI at the beginning of the game, they mash DI when you're in the corner, and they mash DI through block strings, right?
I
So,
don't even know why I do it right there because players in this rank, they always mash. So I should just go for like the fastest one.
yeah,
So
you should go for the frame tight stuff, right?
yeah.
So don't give them an opportunity to DI you because, you know, this is like the mash DI is kind of an option select, right? So like if they mash DI there and it doesn't come out, then they can stop mashing DI once your block string is done and do something else. Right? But if there is a gap and you cancel into a special that can get DI'd, then that's what'll happen, right? Is that they'll mash DI through that and then they'll hit you, right? So you just got to be careful on those strings, right? I think that might have just been a little bit of input error. You held it down too long, right? Whatever. Or accidentally held
that
it.
was
So.
intentional.
Oh, it was intentional. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
I was
don't
trying.
do that.
I was trying to steal a turn.
Gotcha. So again, it's an adjustment you have to make kind of immediately when you recognize a player is doing that, right? So like as soon as that first DI happened, in my head, I would stop doing anything that is fake in terms of like there's gaps and stuff. I would 100% switch to like strings that were airtight or end my strings in a special cancelable button so that if they do mash DI and accidentally get the DI or maybe intentionally do it, I'll be able to counter DI, right? So that's how I would change what I'm doing in neutral, right? So this is a situation where footsie doesn't matter, right? Spacing doesn't matter. Like this person is just going to go for a DI or go for some sort of option, no matter what's happening. They'll go for the neutral skip, right? So I'm willing to bet that you're going to see more than one, at least one more Dragon Lash by the end of this round, right? So hit you with the DI here. Okay, side switch. Right, I just got called it, right? Like immediately. So what happened here though? Why'd you get hit, right? So you try to check, I think, and you get hit, right? So again, I think DI is probably the easiest option here. A DP is reasonable to do as well, and maybe a jab for framer, right? So you do have to be careful on the jab checks though, because you have to make sure that your jab comes out before the hitboxes, right? So if you look at the frame meter here, like you're still in recovery. Ken does the Dragon Lash, right? So if you woke up, like as soon as you see this, you start mashing DI, it'll work, I think. Let's see. Maybe not. Let's see. Okay. So as soon as you see it, maybe it'll work. It'll be close because you're in recovery here. But I will say that you have to make sure that your jab, if you're going to do it, comes out before the hitboxes, right? So you just have to kind of do it, right? So right, it's actually kind of tough to check here, right? Something like that, right? So the main thing though is that you can't use a low, right? So if you use a low, that's what'll happen is you'll get counter hit, right? You'll, like this low crushes. So if you do something like this, that'll work. But if you do like a crouching medium kick, right, you'll get counter hit, right? Right, so something like that. So what did you press here? I think you pressed back medium. You pressed back medium punch. Okay, so what actually happened here? So I think this would actually work potentially. So if I mash this from here, let's see. Oh yeah, that would not. I don't think this would. This is too stubby. Yeah, that like hit there was completely like by chance. I don't think it's consistent at all because this is super stubby, right? Like this button here, right? So. If you're gonna check Dragon Lashes, use your jabs, right? Or DI potentially. So, but that's what happened though, right? Is that they went for this neutral skip again. Like instead of doing a drive rush to do a safer option, they went for the gusto here, went for the dragon lash. They land it here, so they get a conversion now, right? Oh, they don't take it. Okay. So typically after this, Ken is +5, so you get like a conversion into Run Tatsu, right? I guess maybe they weren't ready, right? So you can see you get a combo extension from here. They weren't ready for it, so they just went for a throw, I guess. So whatever. You tech it, so now back to neutral, right? So I'd be willing to bet money almost that you're going to see at least one more DI in the next, say, 10 seconds or so. Well, let's see. Maybe not. Ooh. Okay. There it was, right? So I was a little late on that. But anyway, went for the DI here. You ready with the super? That's good. So let's take a look at what's happening here, though, right? So you get thrown because you go for the neutral skip, right? And you end up on the other side. So you go for the throw. And then you get crossed up, right? So that's unfortunate. So it's kind of the situation you were talking about where they jump and you try to go for the reversal here and it doesn't quite work out. It is tough, I will admit, that from this scenario right here, after this happens... Right, so you get thrown. So you're kind of stuck in, like, the recovery here, right? Because it's a punish counter throw, so you can't back roll. So I think you may have committed to the DP already here, and maybe that's okay. But it's unfortunate that he jumped at the timing he did, right? Maybe this catches if he's a little bit later or a little bit, you know, the timing was different. Maybe it's just unfortunate. You could also argue that, like, you had time to react to something. So, like, after this happened, he doesn't take an Oki approach, right? He just stands at this range. So what this means is that you don't have to worry about a throw here because they didn't dash up or do anything. So in your mind, you should just be thinking about, like, dealing with a jump in or a strike, right? So you go for the EXDP, but I do think that you had a chance to just kind of react to what this guy did, right? You could have just, like, held back here, maybe don't go with the reversal. And the reason I say that is because he's not close enough to warrant you doing that, right? So if we talk about decision making here, from this situation right here, there is no strike throw mix, right? Like he's no longer right here, here, right? He's already in the air when you recover, right? So there was no, like, strike throw mix up that you have to defend, right? He didn't, like, dash up and apply a meaty on you. He didn't put you in a situation where you have to guess. He just kind of jumps at you here, right? So I think that if you recognize that your opponent is not taking an Oki scenario here, my reaction to this would just be to back up or hold down back, potentially block, and then try to react to what he does next, right? Because again, there's no strike throw mix here, right? There's nothing that he's going to do here that you have to play rock, paper, scissors. He's going to do something that you could potentially react to, right? So if you had waited a little bit here and not committed to the XDP right away, you probably had an opportunity to crosscut, right? So from this situation here, if I just hold down back, well, if I could crosscut here, right? So trying to do it with, like, what the levered input would be. That's tough on leverless, I guess. I'll just do it levered. Right, so it looks like actually normal DP would work too. Right. So I think the reason why I couldn't get the crosscut was because he was still on the forward side, actually. So that's actually kind of annoying when you look at this, right? It looks like he's going to cross up. And if you DP early enough, you'll tag him. But if you DP too late, right, it won't work. Right. So anyway, that's a tough situation. I'll be honest with you. I think that the main takeaway, though, is that from this scenario right here, you don't have to commit to a reversal. Is what I'm getting at. If that makes sense, right? So
okay.
Because there's no mix-up, right? So if there's no mix-up here, then you can do something on a reaction. And if you can do something on a reaction, then you don't have to commit to an EXTP, right? So. And then another anti-air opportunity. I think you were kind of in recovery still, but you had enough chance because you blocked. You had a chance to DP that. And then here's the DI, the G reversal. Good. Alright, zone. It's good. Yep. Do you DI this? Let's see. Do you die? Oh, no, you don't. Okay. Oh, that sucks. That's unfortunate. I think maybe you don't kill here, but it'd be pretty
I
close.
die.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't die. Oh,
Okay.
I could have killed them. I
Level
could have
1.
killed them.
Yeah, level 1 right here.
Yeah. Yeah, I could have killed them. I wasn't. I wasn't thinking.
Yeah. So at this point, you're kind of like, I'm kind of done playing this Kenner. Let's go on to game 2, right?
One and done. No, no, not like that. It'd be I would have to use my drive meter.
Oh, okay. I guess you would have
Yeah.
you would cash out, right? So
Yeah.
I take that back. So I don't actually know the route, but it would probably end in level 1, maybe, right? But anyway, you could have killed from here. Is the point to take from there, right? So will you DI you again? Ooh, okay. How did that happen?
That tilted me. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh, you went for a crouch medium kick.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, man.
Yeah. Okay. So, what I will say again is that anti-airing
fast
this is
Uh-huh.
the actual the quote-unquote actual solution, right? Because if you look at the scenario here, right, he throws 2 EX fireballs, burns himself out, right? So now you shouldn't really be afraid of anything. In fact, you could probably just walk up and level 1 him. I mean, don't do that, but you know, from here. The Ken so far has not shown you that they're willing to play any sort of footsies like neutral ground to neutral here. So they're gonna do something that is not that. So then you just have to be ready.
You know
for
what?
that.
You're right. I wasn't thinking.
Yeah. So the TP right here probably would be what you need, right? Or potentially just block, right? And why is it that you can
How
block here?
fast is that sweep?
This sweep is 8 frames. Yeah. So it's,
Why does this sweep the? Hey, man.
yeah, it's kind of privileged, right? But if you think about what's happening here after this scenario, so the DP there obviously is wins it, but when he lands, he's not close enough to throw you, right? So if you're trying to like preempt him here, I think like it's you don't necessarily have to, right? So if let's look at the scenario, right? So he jumps at you, he lands outside of throw range, right? So you don't have to worry about a throw here. You only have to worry about a strike. He's burned out here, so if he does anything, he's not going to be able to driver's cancel to make it safe if he does something unsafe, or extend, right? So he has to basically, he's betting it all here that you're going to do something he can hit with a sweep.
He
Because
could have
if you
killed me.
block, right, he's dead. So
No, he could have killed me even if he like. I don't think that was on his mind, but if he like he fucking level 3.
if he like landed with it, maybe. Like
Yeah.
from here. Let's see.
Yeah, that would have been burnt out, and that would have been KO.
Actually, let's see. It would have been a pretty niche scenario, I think.
Yeah, he could
Right from right here. This tags you because you're not blocking in the replay. Like since you're not blocking, it's gonna tag you here. But I do think that if you block this, I don't think it kills you. Like you burn out, you take one of the hits, and then that's it, right? And you're able to kill them from there. So again, the takeaway from that replay, I think, is that when you run into somebody like that in the game, your main focus shifts away from playing footsies in neutral and trying to beat them in that phase of the game, and switches to like stopping all the neutral skips, right? So if you anti-air jumps, if you checked dragon lashes, he didn't really do any raw dry rushes, but if you check those, potential to do it, those would be the things that I would focus on more when you run into players like this, right? So
Okay.
like that mindset has to change, I think, when you run into, because it's a totally different game, right? Like the way this Ken plays is totally different from the way I play Ken, right? So like you can't apply necessarily the same game plan against the different play styles, right? So if you try to play a patient neutral game and try to whiff punish and all that, you're gonna lose to a player like this because they never give you a button to whiff to punish. Like they don't whiff anything, they just throw everything at you, right? They're not whiffing anything. They're dragon lashing, they're jumping, they're doing all that stuff, right? So
What's that quote? Same monster, different type of beast.
yeah. Yeah. That's what it is, right? Especially, since it's Ken Masters, right? Anyway, but yeah, that's what I would so for this replay in particular, right, when you run into people like this, it has less to do with your ability to play neutral and more on your ability to check what they're doing, right? Because each of those things that they did had very specific counters, right? So DI,
Yeah, I just
jabbing
wasn't
grab
ready.
rushes, and etc. Right? So yeah, just wasn't ready, unfortunately. Cool. So I think we can talk briefly about what I would do in the lab. I don't think we need to jump into it, but basically what I would do for you when you get into like when you start playing, higher level folks and all that to get your spacing more
Mhm.
squared away, would be to hop into the lab and try to land your buttons at the tip of the ranges, right? So being able to use all your pokes effectively at the ranges that is like the max range for them, right? So I'm gonna open up a room here.
Got my screen up right now.
Yeah,
Hold on.
yeah. Let me get a. Well, let me ask you, did you
Shit.
want to run it back? Get another set?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Let me get the. Let me create the room here.
Of course. That's the best type of practice.
Yeah, we do it live, baby. Yeah. All right, let me get you in here. Oops.
I was close to hitting high master, so hopefully.
Yeah, I think so what I will say is that when it comes to the MR like grind, if you will, you're gonna fluctuate a lot, so that's just kind of how it goes. So let me set up the training. Let me just do this real quick. 1 sec. I think it's is it tab.
Ugh.
Alright, so if I go into here, so you should still see my screen. I'm just gonna show you what I would do here. Let me just change my character, I think. Hold on.
You want me to go in there?
Oh, you don't have to. You can just look at my screen. You can save a little time here. You don't have to worry about getting in it. So just to show how I would approach it basically. So for Akuma in particular, right, you have some pretty good pokes, right? So if we look at his buttons, stand light kick is pretty good, right? So this is like your check button. So if the people walk into your range, you can kind of just press this quickly, right? Crouching medium kick, obviously, or your grab cancel, right? So that one's pretty good. Crouching medium punch also, right? It is pretty good. And then this guy, the forward medium kick, against non-DI happy people, right? So against that Ken, you die doing this, right? But against someone like that is not doing a bunch of DIs, this is a good way to control space, right? So that, and then like I think this button, and this, right? This goes a mile, right? The forward heavy punch, right?
Yeah,
Stand medium punch is a little stubby, right? So
you
the
lose your
jabs,
turn though after that.
yeah, unless it's on a counter hit, right? So on counter hit or punish counter, you get a conversion.
Oh,
I want to say, right? So we do
yeah,
this.
I'm talking about on block though.
Yeah, on block it's yeah, and I think for most of these pokes it will be right. Just
You can space them out. Like
yeah.
they nerfed that button, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. But that's what I mean, though,
So
right? Is that you're controlling space with your pokes, right? So
yeah,
like why do we press non-cancelable buttons, right? And it's to induce, it's to condition and make your opponent realize that they can't press their own buttons for free, right? So like on block here, right? If I block everything, right? And I do this, right? So you can do that, right? And space it out, right? It'd be okay. So what I would do is I would go into the lab and I would take the pokes that I like using. So like this, right? These 4 buttons. So crouching medium kick, crouching medium punch, maybe forward medium kick and stand heavy punch. And try to land him at the tip, right? So like just go into the lab and be like, all right, I want to land stand heavy punch at the max range. It'd be something like this probably, right? So what you're doing is you're trying to get an idea of the spacing that makes sense to press the button, right? So like if I'm standing here, this is too far now, right? So I'm not gonna land from here, right? But if I'm standing here, this is gonna reach, right? Should anyway, yeah. So you do that with all the buttons, and what this is gonna teach you is like how close you actually need to get to press your button. What that means is that the better you are at doing that, the further away you could potentially stand from your opponent and press your button, right? Which means that you have a slight advantage, right? Because if they have to walk closer to you because they don't know the spacing, then like your button will come out potentially faster, or they may whiff their own button, right? So like whiffing this was how I beat you earlier, right? Like you whiff this button and then I just punish counter, like I whiff punished you with it, right? So that's what I would do in terms of lab work if you wanted to take that up. And then like the next step from there would be for you to do all moving. So like I'm gonna do this action. Now Kuma has good walk speed, right? So it's a little tougher, but I'm gonna walk in and be like, bang, right? Like walk up, press the button, right? Make sure it never whiffs. Right? I'm moving around, and then press, right? So again, the idea is to get used to the spacing and how fast you can close that space or create space with your movement, right? And then how well you can press the buttons. And that will help a ton when it comes to neutral game. What you're going to notice is that you're going to be whiffing a lot less in neutral, right? which means that you're probably not getting whiff punished as much, which means hopefully you're landing more hits as well, right? So, cool. All right, so that all said, well, let's run it back. I'll leave the mic slot because it's funnier that way, and see how it does. So again, I think like your main thing would be try not to whiff buttons. Would probably be the immediate advice I could give. So
Okay.
But it's tough. Don't get me wrong. It's really tough to do it right away. So. Nice. Oh. Oh, I tried. Oh, there was the that delayed jab again. That got you. No, again, I only did that because he delay tech the other jump in, right? So, you know, gotta be careful there. Ideally, again, you anti-air that, right? So, don't have to deal with it all. Nice. Oh.
That shit.
Oh, you didn't press the button. Oh. Nice.
Oh, what the fuck? Why did I do that? Oh, I'm dead.
That's tough. I think, so something about my playstyle in particular, it makes it seem like I'm going to throw a lot, like grab you often. So you do have to be careful about delay teching, but I totally understand why, because a throw will kill you there, right? So you have to make a defensive decision, and unfortunately it was not correct that time. But there may be times where you do that and you break the throw, right? So. Nice. Oh, the burnout. Nice. Yeah.
Oh, well.
So, I respect what you're trying to do though, right? You're trying to get that at the right range, and it's tough to get it. Like, it's tough to get it. You got to practice it, but I think you got the right idea though. Nice. Oh.
These.
Oh, nice. Oh, there you go. Yeah, the corner pressure though with send heavy punch from Ken is kind of absurd, right? It's hard to contest it.
Yo.
Went for it. Went for it.
Yeah. You wasn't scared I was gonna grab? No.
No, I
You not
was. I was
grabbing?
like, all right, I think they're gonna strike. I just guessed.
Damn.
Oh no. Oh, nice. Get called out. Oh, nice. I tried to DP there. It didn't come out. It's unfortunate. That was good. Oh, nice. That was a good read. Oh yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Nice. Oh, nice. Uh-oh.
Why did I do that? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Ah, no, run it back. No.
Well, definitely get more sets though for sure because you're in Fight Rise now, right? So, but what I will say is that I think you were paying way more attention to your button presses in terms of spacing, right? So like you were way more intentional and you were doing a lot less kind of like demon flips and neutral, right? So still do them. Obviously, tax my mental stack if you can, but I think that you did a much better job in terms of trying to keep me at a space where you could press buttons. Now, of course, in the corner, it's difficult because you can no longer adjust space, right? So once I had you there, it was a little tough. But in the mid screen, I thought you did a pretty good job, keeping up with that. So it's really hard to make that adjustment. So I'm actually really impressed that you're able to like consciously change to doing that more. I know some of the old habits might have snuck in while you were going, but no, this was super good, man. So cool. So. Me. Yeah, if you want to run sets after, like I'll end stream, we can probably run sets. I gotta take a little break here before. I don't know what your schedule looks like, but we can always do another time too. But yeah, before I wrap up here, any last minute questions or anything like that you can think of?
Nah, I think it's.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be cool to see me watch me play in rank, so
Okay.
you could see it in
Okay.
full habit.
Yeah. So I do runbacks for folks for like sessions, but typically I try to ask people to do it maybe like a month or so, just to let like what's happening, like what we talked about, kind of sink in. Because what I've noticed is that if I do that right away, like it's difficult to see if like things are helping or not. But if you get a chance to actually play ranked for a little bit and then come back into it, like that's usually pretty good. So you can take a look at the past sessions I've done for that. So that would be something we can take a look at next time for sure. But yeah, we can next time next time we can do that. Cool.
All right.
Cool. Anything else you can think of at the moment you want to ask?
No, I think the jab thing was very important.
Oh yeah, the delay jab thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take a look at that. Like, look up that defensive option. So it's basically a jab at the same time as a delay tech would happen, and it'll blow up anything you do when you try to get greedy with your plus frames, or if you try to do something like fake, like minus frames into walk up throw or something, it'll blow that up. So I do actually have a video on that. I'll send it to you if you're interested in seeing what that looks like on like delay options and how that works in game. So I'll put it in the SDSU channel for you, so you can take a look at it. It should hopefully it'll explain what's happening there and how I was able to apply it to what you were doing, and also I go over the counter for it too. So
got it.
Cool. All right, man. So I'm just gonna wrap up on stream here. So feel free to hang out in Discord. You'll be muted on stream, so it's all good. Thanks for coming in, man.
All right.
So it's been Sit Down and Shut Up. Thank you guys for watching. If you're still around, Lumi Edravasiar. I don't know. I can't say that. So Lumi, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it if you're still around. So this has been Sit Down and Shut Up. I run this through the Fight Rise Discord. So Fight Rise is a fighting game community focused mostly on Street Fighter 6. They do bi-weekly tournaments every Tuesday. They're on break right now. I think it's coming back in a month or so. I forget exactly. They're on break for summer. It's basically, if you are in Master Rank or above, it is a 7-round Swiss. I think they're going to change up some of the rules for that, but what I will say, it ends up being a 7-round Swiss. You'll be playing a bunch of games, tournament sets, if you will, for that. So that's a good time. If you're below Master, you can also sign up still for that for One Fight Stand. They'll put you in a pool with, hopefully they have 8 other players come up that are maybe not in Master or, knocking on the door or whatever. And you'll be able to play a round robin, 7 rounds or so in that scenario as well. So, any level, all levels, welcome to join in. We'll try to put you in a pool where it's going to be competitive, right? You're not going to be stuck fighting like, tournament winners or anything like that for the most part. They also do events through their Urge to Fight series, right? So you can take a look at their past events on twitch.tv/FightRiseFGC. Let me put the Discords in chat. You can take a look at the past events they've done. So they're community showcase events, right? So folks in the community get to play on stream, right? So it's always a good time. They also do their Big League KO series. So Big League KO is a league format. So it's basically a 8-person pool. Then they do a round robin where you play your matches spread out over the course of 5 weeks. You play 2 matches a week. They're both first to fives. So flexible scheduling, right? So you get put into a pool with other folks. It's a lot of fun. They're all first to five, so the games are, you get longer sets with folks. And if you do well, there's a postseason after where you get put into a bracket and you get a chance to play, the postseason, right, for the league. So it's always a good time. If you liked what I was doing here and you want a training session like this for yourself, please join the Discord. Take a look under the Level Up channel. We have some great coaches that can help you out. I'm one of them. There's also a couple other folks. There's Satora and Jason Loserpants. They have their own channels. So if you're interested in coaching with any one of them, take a look at those channels. Reach out to them. They'll help you out and schedule some time with them. So I'm also part of the Newbie Fight Club. So Newbie Fight Club is another fighting game community that focuses on helping newer players get into the game. It's mostly focused on Street Fighter 6, although we do play other games occasionally. I think there's some 3D fighters that still play, City of the Wolves, that type of stuff. I think there's some Stride players as well. So if you are into fighting games or new to fighting games and you want to get into it, that's a good Discord to join. They do lobby nights every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So if you're looking for games in Street Fighter 6, that's a good way to go. Wednesdays is typically the new person, like the newbie nights, right? So if you're new to the game, join in Wednesday evenings. Fridays tend to be a little more freeform. I think they run bi-weekly tournaments every once in a while, bi-weekly round robins, rather. I think they're starting that back up on Fridays. So if you want another round robin tournament experience, you can sign up for that. Then Mondays tend to be modern focused. So once a month they do a modern only tournament on Mondays, and then Mondays they do modern Mondays. So it's basically another lobby night, but with modern emphasis. You don't have to play modern, but if you wanted to try it out, it's a good opportunity for that. I know I don't really respond to chat as much as I probably should, or notifications and whatnot. So I do appreciate your likes, your follows, your texts, and all that stuff. I just don't react to it because I'm working with somebody. So again, I really do appreciate all of that. So thanks again for tuning in and have a good night.